I'm here in the Yukon in Canada, and this is my good friend Shaun from the Story Till Now.
Hello.
And we have just completed the most epic adventure. We still have a few more days to go, but it's been pretty amazing thus far. We made it all the way up to the Arctic Ocean. And by the time you're watching this video, all his videos from that adventure should be released. All my videos from that adventure should be released. And we thought, we've been getting a lot of questions since we've been out here posting, and we thought we'd try to answer as many questions for those people that are maybe interested in doing this adventure or just a long adventure in general. And we'll probably just kind of riff and give you some behind the scenes kind of stuff that happened along the way. But how you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man.
Yeah, I'm feeling great.
This has been an awesome trip.
It's been an awesome trip. This lake behind us, we've had some amazing camp spots, and this is up there with some of them. But what do you think your favorite camp spot has been so far?
Oh, I mean, it's got to be the Arctic Ocean, even though it wasn't like the best camping conditions because we were kind of we're just kind of next to the road that went through town.
Yeah.
But the view, if you turned around and didn't look towards town, fantastic.
You can't get that anywhere else.
No, that is way more than I could have expected.
Yeah, I mean, we've had amazing scenic views, mountains, rivers, all the things, but that, I agree, that was it. Okay, I have a pretty long list of stuff that I want to cover. It's really not in any specific order, but we're just going to go down this. Let's talk about planning this trip. So I was actually planning a trip to Prudhoe Bay years ago in Alaska, and it failed and didn't go through. And this year I was like, I'm done waiting on doing this trip, and I'm going up to the Arctic Ocean. And I decided to go up the Dempster Highway and to Tuktoyaktuk. And how did you find out that I was doing this trip? Do you remember?
You posted it on your Patreon.
Oh, okay.
I'm on your Patreon.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I've been wanting to do this trip forever.
Yeah.
So then I immediately, the same day you posted that, sent you a text and was like, hey, don't want to invite myself on your trip, but can I invite myself on your trip?
Dude, I was so thankful that you reached out, because I was going to do this solo, because I couldn't get anybody else to take this much time off. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Shaun and I we've been out on the trails and spent quite a bit of time together. And so when you reached out, I told my wife, I was like, yes, I know that Shaun and I get along. We're like-minded, and we're going to have a great time, because this is not a trip you want to do with somebody that you don't really, get along with.
Yeah, so it's hard to plan because it's hard to find people to go with.
Right.
Because everybody's busy, and this is, a 3-week trip at least.
Yep.
And then finding that person that can go who you can also tolerate for that amount of time.
Yeah.
And so Brad's kind of all right.
Yeah,
so.
you're all right. You're all right. We've had a good time. We've had a
really good time.
We've had a really good time. We've had some challenges, and I think there's been even a little bit of emotional swings where there's been some days where just we had to put in the miles, and it was a little.
Sure.
Yeah, but I mean, at most of the time it was just like, wow. I mean, how many times did we say wow?
Yeah.
On this trip?
I mean, we've had big grins on our faces almost this entire trip.
Yeah.
So.
And we're on our way home, and I'm still smiling.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about time away. How has that been, taking this amount of time off and being away from the family?
It's always hard, but I mean, having Starlink really helps.
Yep.
So being able to FaceTime with my wife and daughter every day has made it very manageable.
Yeah.
So.
I will say for me, so this is going to end up being, I think, 29 days total by the time I finally get home. Regina and I have always said, I was in the military for 26 years, and I used to deploy and all that, but I haven't been away from her because I retired 7 years ago.
Yeah.
This is the longest I've been away from her since I retired, and so kind of missing on her right now. I'm looking forward to seeing her in a few days, but thankfully, you're right. Starlink has been really invaluable.
It's a lifesaver.
Yeah, it really has. Okay. All right, I put miles/kilometers traveled. So this has been a kind of a running joke, but it's a point of confusion. I'm like, oh, we got 122 miles a day, and you're like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, we're talking about fuel mileage and
Okay, so for the Canadians, how many kilometers is this whole trip for you, dude?
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
I don't keep track of that kind of stuff. I'm in the moment. I'm just enjoying the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many kilometers it is, but I bet Brad knows how many miles. And if you put it in a little Google search, it'll tell you.
Yeah, it's 3,700 miles total round trip for me. And it's this is the biggest trip I've ever done. How about you?
Yes, as for distance-wise,
yeah,
for sure. And actually, now that I think about it, I've done about 10,000 kilometers, I think.
That's a cooler, bigger number than 3,700.
That can't be right. Never mind.
It's all good.
Google 3,700 miles.
Yeah.
It'll be a better answer.
Drive time per day. I think this is one you and I talked about in the planning stages, and I think this is really important for anybody that's thinking about doing this trip. Is, you know, you can smash through this, and I mean, you could almost go from Dawson City to Tuktoyaktuk to the Arctic Ocean in a day if you really wanted to.
Yes, if the ferries were running.
If the ferries are running and the road conditions are good. But you and I talked early on about like kind of making this enjoyable.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that went through your head when we were talking about that?
Yeah. So, well, we were talking about, you know, if you're driving like 12 hours a day every day, you just get burnt out real fast and you don't have any time to actually enjoy the trip. And we really wanted to take our time and stop where we want to stop. If we find a nice campsite, stop, enjoy, you know, sit here on the beach like we're doing.
Yeah. And
we've been able to do that, and it's really made the trip that much better by not forcing like a super tight drive.
Yeah, it was good. We allowed I think you have to plan extra days so you allow yourself that flexibility, because there were a few times where like that one lake campsite, that was a 30-minute detour to go check that out.
Yeah.
Ended up being a massive payoff. We almost didn't want to leave that spot.
Yeah.
But you know, we allowed ourselves to kind of have some late starts some mornings. We got to camp some days we got to camp kind of early. Some days we got to camp like at 9 or 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
But it was still light out.
That's been the weirdest thing on this whole trip is the further north we get, the longer the days get. And you get to camp and the sun's still up in the sky like it's noon.
Right.
And so you don't feel like it's time to go to bed, and you just kind of want to be outside and enjoy. And then but your body is like, hey, you need to sleep.
Yeah. When we arrived to the Arctic Circle, I mean, it was like, I think it was like 11 o'clock, wasn't it? It was after 11 p.m.
Yeah. So I was just reviewing my footage, and I was like, what time is it, like 10? You're like, no, it's 11 when we were at the Arctic Circle sign, and the sun was just starting to get low in the sky. Like the sky was just starting to get a bit orange.
Yeah.
And it stayed like that the whole night, basically. Yeah. Like the sun just moved sideways.
Yeah, I think I stayed up until like 1:30 at night, which I never stay up that late, and I wasn't even tired. I think I was full of adrenaline from getting there, but it was super cool that it was still light out. So, okay, so keeping your flexibility, and just don't smash days of driving. Just, you know, I think 8 hours was pretty much our norm, except for that last day because we just wanted to get there. But
I think we also most days we ended up driving less than we planned on driving because we're like, this is a really good camp spot. Right. Like, who cares? Let's just stop here and stay here. Yeah. That worked out.
That worked out a lot. It really did. Sometimes we had to wait on a ferry, so that day was short too.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about money and budget. I know for me, coming from San Diego all the way up, it was a pretty hefty investment just in fuel.
Right.
I'm spending way more than I budgeted for, surprisingly. Over $3,000, but you know, I knew we were going to be paying some high gas prices up north in the Northern Territories.
Did you know they were going to be as high as that one?
Wow!
What town was that?
Fort McPherson.
Fort McPherson has the most expensive gas prices.
Yeah.
Probably on planet Earth.
Yeah, it was $8.99 per gallon. I don't know what it was.
$2.90 per liter of diesel.
Yeah.
So, and just compare it so you have a better idea. The average price for diesel in most places in BC is around $2 right now.
Yeah, it was $8.99. I think when I left Oregon, I was paying like $3.70. I don't know. California's high, but it's only like $5. It's not $8.99, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a good topic, and I think we've already kind of talked about this quite a bit. Food and water. Mm-hmm. So I would say that we've eaten good.
Yes.
But we probably didn't plan our meals.
We did a terrible job meal planning. We kind of just like, on the second day, we were like, let's go to a grocery store. And we just bought a bunch of really easy stuff to make. Steaks, instant, pre-cooked ribs.
Yeah. Look, I never knew that I liked pre-cooked ribs, and we've had those twice on this trip, and
Yeah.
every time they're delicious.
I'm not opposed to maybe another rib night.
I would do another pre-cooked rib night. Yeah, because they're super fast. Just throw them on the grill, and 10 minutes later, you're eating ribs.
Yep.
Super good. But I think to do this over a little bit more meal planning, like, vacuum sealing some meals that we can just heat up really quick, because there were a couple nights where we just didn't feel like cooking a big meal. It's nice to have like a steak and some vegetables on the side, but it's a little bit of work, and so sometimes it might be nice just to kind of heat something up.
But Brad has a barbecue on a swing out arm that swings out of his trailer, which is my favorite thing on his whole setup.
We've used it a lot on this trip, and I will say for me, this is the first time that I've used an induction stovetop with this, and it's actually worked out pretty well for me. I've actually really
worked out really well. I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah.
Although I also have a new thing for me, which is having a kitchen, because I'm in a camper for the first time, and I'm actually doing some cooking. So, mostly just like frying stuff up or boiling stuff or whatever it may be. But having that little kitchen in the camper, it encourages me to actually do some meal cooking, which is nice.
Okay, coming back to fuel. I probably should have put these in order, but I didn't. So really talking about fuel range and mileage. So I brought an extra 20 gallons or 80 liters of fuel. See how I say I did that? I 80 liters.
Was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Because I was really worried. I'd heard horror stories about the distance and fuel pumps being not working and gas stations.
We did encounter.
We encountered several fuel pumps that didn't work.
Or out of gas.
And the gas stations that didn't have fuel.
Yep.
But there was actually only one time for me, well, I should say one leg, because on both directions that I had to drop in 5 gallons of gas. And I think that was from Dawson City to...
Eagle Plains.
Eagle Plains, thank you. Yeah. So I had to drop fuel there. But you were laughing the whole time because you're like, oh, really? You got to stop for gas again?
Well, I wasn't like that. I wasn't a jerk about it. I obviously have a larger tank, and I'm running diesel, which I got a little bit better range.
You got really good range. But I only needed fuel once, so I really could have got away with just bringing one jerry can and just refilling it, and I would have been fine. But it was surprising to me how many times we encountered fuel pumps that didn't work. So that could end up really being a pretty big problem for somebody if there was other issues. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were lucky that, when we got into Fort McPherson?
Yeah.
After the first ferry, so because we were literally on the second ferry across the river for the entire season. So it's been about 2 months since the river was frozen when you could drive across. So during that time, there's been no deliveries to the towns on the other side, meaning one of the gas stations, the first one we stopped to, they actually had run out of gas.
Yeah.
So they had a sign that said no gas. Luckily, there was another gas station in town.
Another gas station, but out of the 2 pumps, only one was working.
So everybody coming across
was going to that one pump.
But they had diesel at the one that didn't have gas.
Correct.
So I guess maybe because of the amount of diesel trucks and stuff that come through, they have a better supply.
But I think if you're doing this trip, you need to expect that you might need to drop a couple extra gallons in, just depending on the situation. It's probably a great idea to bring fuel. So, okay, let's talk about how the vehicle's handled, specifically the suspensions, but just in your vehicle in general. So this was the first big trip for you.
Yep. First trip at all. In this rig.
Yeah. How you feeling?
Great. Yeah. Obviously, I broke my drive shaft on day 2.
Right.
My front drive shaft.
Yeah.
So it's been 2-wheel drive since, but because we haven't been doing it, we're not doing any crazy wheeling or anything. We did go through some little dips and stuff like that. But, it's mostly been dirt road or highway travel, and it's handled really good. The Ram is so comfortable.
Yeah.
I've just been loving it. I'm in love with this whole setup.
Yeah, I will say for me, and I think we talked about this on the trail, because there were some times, especially after we got to the really northern part after the ferry, where the Dempster Highway got extremely rough and rugged. I was really happy with how the suspension was handling that. AV, a nice little plug here for AV, but legitimately, I really feel this way that they designed their vehicle to do exactly this, for long durations and to really take a punishing. We weren't rock crawling, but I actually would think that this is probably harder on your vehicle than a rock crawling scenario because
Yeah.
you're just going through so much stuff at high speed,
rough
right?
road.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have we like, oh, dip, yep.
It's a true overland trip that we're doing, and we have true overland suspensions and setups for that. We're both running AV, which has been fantastic.
Yeah, the suspension, the vehicles performed incredible. Okay, let's talk about the Stuart Cassier Highway.
Epic.
That was surprising. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
paved highway,
but probably, you know, I would argue up to this trip that the Highway 395 is probably one of the most scenic highways out there that you can drive. It's just gorgeous, and it's you know, it's super long and beautiful. That's changed. That's Stuart Cassier Highway.
That's your favorite now?
Yeah, that was incredible. Oh, and
nice drive.
And how remote did we feel?
Yeah, because there's no towns, no gas stations, no nothing.
And there's hardly anybody on the road.
Yeah, for the most part of the highway.
Yeah, it was really, really nice.
It was a really nice drive.
And we found that nice camp spot along the river. Caught 2 fish, by the way. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, that one was really good.
Yeah.
How did we find that one? Oh, we got the pin from Epic Family Road Trip.
Epic Family Road Trip hooked us up with that one.
And they've hooked us up with so many good campsites on this trip because they've done this trip before.
Yeah.
And they were nice enough to share some of their campsites with us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a key, guys. If you have a friend or a buddy that's done this trip, definitely pick their brain about that kind of stuff. Okay, coming in before we got on the Dempster, Dawson City.
What a cool town.
Yeah.
That is maybe the coolest town I've ever been to.
Yeah, I have to agree.
I love Dawson City.
Yeah.
It looks like an old West town. Like it's got the dirt road still and the wooden sidewalks and the original buildings that are all from like the 1800s, but they're all like fixed up and painted and new looking, which is really cool.
Yeah, we had a blast. We only got to spend a couple hours there. I think we were about there for 3. I think the plan was we were just going to go in, get gas, do some filming and leave, and then we hung out there for a while. But then on the way back, when we got off the Dempster, you and I were both like, oh, we need to go back to Dawson City.
Yeah, we wanted to try some local food, so we found a restaurant and that had local like meats that they made at the or they cured at the actual restaurant.
Yep.
Which was really good. We went to a saloon.
Yes, we did.
Yep.
They had a very interesting drink.
Yeah, there's a very cool menu there. It was an interesting place.
Yeah. Yeah, we won't talk about the toe. I don't want to make you sick.
They've got a drink called the sour toe cocktail.
So gross.
And basically, it's a dehydrated human toe that you put in a shot, and when you drink it, it has to touch your lips.
Yeah.
Honestly, it looked like a turd in a glass.
Neither one of us did it, but there were lots of people doing it.
There was a lineup of people to do it.
Which was weird. It was really weird.
Like an official guy who was doing it like a ceremony, and you get a certificate. I felt ill just watching it.
Not for me. I don't even like to talk about it, honestly. Okay. So we camped. Oh, wait. We did do the museum. You did some gold panning.
Yeah. The museum was cool.
The museum was cool.
The museum, if you go to Dawson City, check out the museum. Yep. Really cool.
Very cool.
But they have a public gold claim. So for tourists to go and you can try your hand at gold panning. We bought gold pans.
Yep.
And might have found a few flakes of gold.
Yeah. Somebody was more successful than the other person. I enjoyed watching him because you were having so much fun.
It was fun. When you're finding gold, you get really excited, right?
Yeah.
So now the gold pan lives in my truck permanently, and I'm going to do it everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Then we hit the Dempster.
Yes.
And I will say that definitely far exceeded my expectations of what it was going to be. I kind of thought it was going to be, a nice rugged dirt road for 500 and whatever miles it is, through some forests and some mountains. It was way more than that.
It was way better than that. It was, I think we had this conversation when we were on the Dempster. We'd both watched some videos of it, and the videos did not do it justice at all. It looked like it was just a dirt road through some kind of dull mountains. And when we got there, it was like some of the most beautiful alpine places I've been, but with a highway through it.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. It was absolutely gorgeous. I honestly thought I call it the trail. It's a highway. Yeah. It's a dirt road. It's a trail.
It feels like you're on a trail.
It feels like you're on a trail. I thought it was going to be rougher than it was. And I think the northern half probably was what I expected, but the southern half was pretty good. We were maintaining some pretty good speeds through there.
Yeah.
But there were some times, like the Tombstone area, that mountain along the river, come on.
There's some crazy looking mountains through there. And And the road's pretty smooth in that section. We were just kind of bombing.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the second half we started hitting some of those whoops. And I hit one so hard that when I opened my camper, the grill of my stove had flown off of the stove.
Yeah, it was good. And then we found quite a few campsites because we did 3 days up and just over 2 days back.
Yes.
That first campsite on the river that was still frozen.
That was cool.
That was super cool. So you can find some really, really good gem of campsites on the Dempster. There were so many that we just drove past.
The river where we thought we were going to get flooded out.
Yeah.
That was probably the nicest campsite on the Dempster, I think.
Yeah.
Until we had to move because the
move.
water started rising.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Okay, how about dust on the Dempster? How was that?
Dusty.
It was super dusty. It's definitely the dustiest road, and I've been on some really, really dusty roads. That one takes the cake. There were times where, because we would take turns every day on who would lead, and that was fair because we each got to eat dust.
Yep.
But there was times when I would be behind you and I would be pretty far back, and the dust was just kicking up, and then another car would come the other direction and throw dust over, and you almost had to come to a complete stop because you couldn't see. So you really have to be careful.
We were almost like getting out of radio range sometimes because we had to fall that far back to stay out of the dust.
Yeah.
It was pretty dirty, and it's also like get out of here, mosquitoes.
They're coming.
They're coming for me. But how dirty did our trucks get on that highway? From
so
the
bad.
mud?
So bad.
It was gross.
Yeah, it's not like thick. It's like my vehicle was stained.
It was like there was a coating of cement over part of my truck. Yeah. So immediately after we got off the Dempster, we went to a car wash, and it took us probably each about 45 minutes of pressure washing to get the muck off our trucks, just so that we didn't have to get it all over us every time we touched them. Yeah,
thankfully in Dawson City there's a pressure washing station, and you could tell that everybody does it because it's
bring some loonies.
Yeah, comms. So we were using ham radio.
Yep,
it worked pretty good, but I think I would like a little more powerful radio. I think I was only running 25 watts. So I think next time maybe I'll throw a bigger radio in there. Navigation, what were you using for navigation?
Onyx Off-Road.
Yep, same.
So I was using the route that we pre-planned.
Yeah.
And that worked great because we had all the same waypoints. We had the track. So even if we were offline, because I was having some issues with my Starlink connectivity, I still had the line to follow.
Yep. Mosquitoes are coming.
Get out of here, mosquitoes.
We've actually had a pretty good bug-free event so far, but the last couple of days they're starting to come out. I've been using Onyx Off-Road as well. I planned a route using that, and then I created a ton of waypoints, and then I got some waypoints from some friends, and so that was invaluable. But having it, having downloaded every little region for offline use was imperative.
I should have done that.
Yeah, it was so good. Wildlife.
We saw some wildlife.
We saw some wildlife, but not a lot on the Dempster.
No, we were kind of upset because we thought for sure we're going to see tons of animals because it's super wild. We saw, one caribou?
One caribou on the way back.
On the way back. Yeah. That's all we saw on the Dempster. But outside of the Dempster...
Saw lots.
Yeah, we saw 2 grizzly cubs. Porcupines.
Saw lots of I didn't realize how big porcupines are.
Yeah. We saw a fox that looked really friendly, but it got scared off by a car before I could pet it.
I thought one of the coolest ones was at that lake when we saw the moose.
Yes.
And then
the baby moose.
The baby moose came
Moose
out.
And a baby moose.
It was so cool.
Never seen that before. That's got to be kind of a rare sight.
Yeah. Yeah, so. That was pretty slick. So the wildlife was good, but on the Dempster, I think we were a little disappointed we didn't see more. Yeah. So, okay, this will be an interesting topic. Hygiene. So I am on day 17 today, and I still haven't had a shower.
I can tell. Just kidding. He smells good.
I've been doing baby wipes the whole time. But it seems to be working, but I am looking forward to a shower here soon. But I mean, I kind of did that military where we would just be out in the field forever and not take a shower for a while.
We're out camping. We're getting dirty. As long as you're changing your clothes and wiping yourself down. Yeah. I do have a shower in my camper, which I used one time. Yeah. But I can't see myself doing it a lot on a trip. It's kind of a bit of setup to set up the shower curtain and everything. I'll probably use the shower on the outside of the camper next time as long as there's nice weather like this.
Yeah, I will say I probably overpacked clothes because honestly, I mean, you wear a pair of pants for like a week, honestly.
Yeah.
And I brought clothes to change out every 2 or 3 days, and I haven't been doing that because, I mean, I can only smell myself in the car. So
Same for me. I have a whole box full of clothes that I've changed maybe 3 times, other than underwear and stuff.
I don't feel dirty. The wipes have helped, so that's been good. Weather. We've seen all of the weather.
All of it.
All of it, because we had snow. Mm-hmm. We've had rain multiple times. So
heavy rain.
Heavy rain. You need to be ready for that. We've had some pretty good wind.
With thunder.
Last
night.
Yeah. We've definitely braved the cold. Probably not for you because you're Canadian, but for me it was super cold.
It's been cold some of the nights. Yeah. So I mean, I've got my heater in my camper, so it's been good.
So I think you got to prepare for it all. Today we had some nice. It was like 68 degrees. I actually put on shorts and flip flops today.
There was a warm wind, warm breeze. It felt like a beach day.
Yeah, I would say this is the perfect time of year. June is a good time of year to come, as long as the ferries are running.
Yeah.
How about people we met? We met some interesting people along the way. Anyone that stands out?
Definitely the woman at the information center in Dawson City who she asked me where I was from, and I told her Maple Ridge, and she was like, "Oh yeah, Maple Ridge, blah blah blah." She knew all about it, and she'd been working there for 21 years or something like that. She said, very friendly lady, just wanted to talk about whatever.
Sure.
And she was really cool.
Yeah. Everybody says that Canadians are friendly. It's genuinely true. Like everybody that I've talked to, I mean, just people standing at the gas station and the grocery stores, everybody's just so nice here in Canada. I think for me the standout was when we got to Tuktoyaktuk, and we were the first travelers to arrive there in a long time.
Yes.
This old lady comes up, and she's on an ATV, and she wanted to come say hello and welcome us, and she starts telling us just all about Tuk and the history and the frozen ice and the town, and she was a standout. She was a super sweet lady.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we met a lot of great people, but those ones stick out.
And other travelers too.
Yeah,
like just gas stations or waiting for the ferry. Just I don't do a lot of trips like this where I'm traveling on main roads where you encounter other people, and it's been a nice change of pace to get to meet lots of different other travelers who are also on this journey.
Yep, for sure. Okay, so to wrap this up, would you do this again?
Not soon, but yeah, I would do it again.
Yeah.
If I was to do it again, I'd probably try and incorporate some other destinations into it, or some different routes just to change it up. But it's a fantastic trip. Yeah. I can't recommend it enough.
I would absolutely. If anybody's even thinking about doing it, I would say add it to your bucket trip list. Mm-hmm. I don't, I would do it again, but I think it'll be a while. I think because now there's other places that I want to go, but I absolutely no regrets on taking the time, spending the money. This was the trip of a lifetime. But I think we should do this again.
We should. This has been like a bucket trip for me.
It's been a bucket trip for me.
So maybe we should check off a few more of those bucket trips together.
Let's do that, dude. Where do you guys think we should go? I don't know, dude. Let's make some plans.
Let's make some plans.